We need more space. Right now we rent a place off-site to do our car detailing. We'd like to bring that in-house. Our offices are very kind of cut up in this old oil change building, and starting to have some maintenance issues that are, we would just continue to put Band-Aids on those. And our team down here is they really want to stay with just the flavor of the community. And to be honest, I wasn't real familiar with this corridor and the different just requirements that we have in this area. And I appreciate that. I do think it could use, more newer construction and buildings. And I do want to honor that. But at the same time, our team down here does not want to put up a fancy looking modern office building where they don't feel like they're at home. And they've made that very clear. I'm listening to them. We believe in a business of transparency. We're in the used car business, and we understand that doesn't have a good name. But since my grandpa started in the 50s, it's always been about transparency. And we're carrying that on. We are if you ever follow us on Instagram or Facebook, we go through the process of what we do. We're very transparent about what we do, how we do it. And that's been something that has helped us grow. And we do things differently. I kind of grew up thinking, well, I don't want to be a used car salesman. That's such a bad name. But with the way that my grandpa and dad did business, they were not salespeople. They fix things. And so that's what we do. We repair cars. And we get them out to the public, and we are transparent about what we replaced, what we fixed. Some might even have a rebuild title, but we stand behind all the work that we do, and we're looking to do a lot of that work inside the building. It wouldn't be body work. That is done up at our Middleville location, but mechanical work. Detailing would likely stay on the other side of the road for the time being, where we own 1420 South Hanover as well, where our current office is. Any questions?
Questions?
I grew up in that neighborhood off of South Jefferson Street. And my main concern, and one of the things that Rebecca talked about, was some form of lighting plan. This house that's just to the north of you was just done. Just built, brand new house, and they put a lot of money into it. And my concern in the lighting plan is to not, I don't like looking out my bedroom window and the sky's lit up because you got lights over there, and I don't think you're planning on doing that. I know there's a woods between you and this proposal, so I'd like to see and I don't know if you're going to use lighting out there for security, or you're going to use lighting for walkways like that. That's my big question.
Sure.
How's that going to fit in with the neighborhood? I like the plan. I know right now you got a bunch of cars back in there, and I would like to see a building in there.
Yeah. Do you want to speak to that? Yeah.
Yeah. So there are existing light poles, and the intention with the rest of it, at least in concept, is to light everything else from the building. And I think we, subject to what the engineers say, if those can be on time control or something like that, it is something we would provide with the building permit set of plans. And I think there's no problem being sensitive to that as long as we're balancing security with the car lot. But nobody's buying cars at 2 a.m. That doesn't work quite that hard, but at the same time, whatever we would need for security in that area if lighting was going to be a problem. But I did drive by that house right before the meeting. It does look very nice, and it makes a lot of sense. So.
Actually, as far as lighting goes, I'm not sure that putting lights on the building is a positive, because if you put the lights on the building, they're shining away from the property toward the neighbors. If you put them on poles at the perimeter and focus them in and down, that provides more lighting security for the neighborhood than doing what you suggest about putting them on the building.
Sure, and that makes sense. And then what I think programmatically what we have to figure out is where are the cars going to be for sale versus the cars for storage. So I think there conceivably could be maybe 2 added light poles, one on either side of that drive off of Shriner. But we very well could end up shrinking that area behind the building. That's probably going to be where cars not for sale are parked. So there is kind of a difference in how the parking lot as a whole is handled. And then, of course, subject to code requirements and minimum photometrics. We will ensure that downlighting adjacent to a residential district that still meets, the minimum code requirements is something that will be part of the final design.
The cars that you're going to be working on, are those strictly your cars that you're going to be selling, or are you planning on doing some repair work for others?
We primarily work on just the ones that we sell. However, when somebody purchases a car, if they have a problem down the road, we typically will get that back in and repair it for them. Depending on the agreement that we have with them, but we will not advertise outside service work. We'll be conducting business at the same way we have been for the last 12 to 13 years, where it's primarily car sales, but we stand behind what we sell, so we will get them back in if there is an issue.
And I ask that because of the outdoor parking.
Yeah.
If I look at the 3 or 4 repair shops that I'm familiar with, they typically have a lot of cars sitting outside waiting to be worked on. And when we look at special use permits, as Rebecca said, I think, we're trying to make sure that what we allow as a special use does not significantly negatively impact the neighborhood. I think that the number of cars that are going to be stored outside, particularly on the that side of the what side is that?
Probably keep them on the west side, won't you? Anything that's not for sale?
Yeah, anything that's on that side of the building is going to be more visible to the neighbor. I'm also a little curious as to why you chose to orient all of your door openings to that side of the building as opposed to the other side. If the doors were reversed, you're facing the back side of a retail operation. Mm-hmm. Putting them where you've got them, you're facing a residential area, and that allows for more noise transmission, also to some degree, visual pollution.
Okay, yeah, I think the intent was because the entrance is there off Shriner, that's where they'll be pulling in and out. And going back to the lighting, we don't anticipate there being many more cars. In fact, opening up the detail shop on the other side where our current mechanics work now, we'd be able to store more cars over there. But we would definitely be open to some sort of fencing back there. But that's what we have now currently. So I'd be curious to know like what the neighborhood, how they've been impacted. I think that house has only been constructed for about a year or so. Curious to know that, but yeah, as far as the door placement, I think partly that's just how I had envisioned it, just so that we have the most room possible instead of coming into the property and then driving around the building. I think how we landed on that.
Yeah, and there will be, storefront doors on both the Shriner facing and the Hanover facing elevations. And we did talk about this with the designer, that functionally we think both will kind of be used as customer entrances. I think we're calling one main entrance, one, worker entrance, but they all they go into the same lobby there, and then there's just a man door, going back into the shop. But yes, all those overhead doors just run to the back end of that lot, and it is a bigger building than what's there and what isn't used, but that's to preserve the existing lot as it is and expand that building. That's kind of what it pushed us this direction. But there was an intention to have transparency and a door on both of the entrances that we have on the plan.
Mr. Chair, this is probably a good time to add this. The review was completed on the site plan material that was submitted, which indicates this is a car repair facility. And so I think some of the use elements that are being discussed, in that they weren't reflected on the plan, have not sort of made it into the conversation. So I would say that if use of the property is desired for a vehicle sales lot, unless that's already been approved for that property, a vehicle sales lot, then I think they need to get use approval for that. Now, if they already have use approval for that, that's not in the material, so that would be helpful to know. If they haven't, then we will want to make sure that's part of the...
They are operating and have operated for
100 years.
Even before us, yeah.
14, 15 years as a car sales facility. So that's the given. The repair facility is what's new.
So then I would suggest that, okay, so in that was not in any of the material, I was not familiar with that. So the special land use review obviously is not appropriate now, because it was under the assumption that no outdoor activity was being reflected on any of the proposals. So, right, the site plan did not demonstrate vehicle sales area, vehicle storage area, right? It was just a 15-lot parking area, and then a repair building, and that's what the site plan. So I would suggest that, and I'm glad to hear about the use so that this doesn't have to be renoticed, but I do think that as it relates to the site plan, which we're talking about those elements, those will be key things to include in the plan, because that changes, I think that changes how you apply the special use criteria. And all the things you're talking about, right? The screening and the lighting, and it's going to be based on how much outdoor activity. And so if the entire front is vehicle sales and the entire back is vehicle storage, I think that should be reflected so that you can consider that in your review.
Okay. Other questions? Chelsea?
I had the same question about the doors being on the one side of the building. I was just anticipating that resident next door might be concerned about noise, primarily like air tools, removing and putting back on tires. So that was my only question, was if that was considered, or if that would be an option to sort of reverse that layout. You already commented on that.
I can speak to that one more time, and I'm not looking at the vegetation right now with what we currently have. If we did move the building over, I feel like we would be constructing pretty close to the home, if that were the case. And I'm not sure what's better or worse. I feel like if they're staring at the back of a big building, I don't know. I think this was just kind of the way that I had always envisioned it, long before the home was there, and I didn't know a home was going to be going in there. But at the same time, I feel like we would have to take down more vegetation to plant or to build the building on the other side, so we had room and places to park cars.
Well, they also chose to construct a home adjacent to a commercial lot.
Right.
Dan, have we heard anything from that property owner, or are they present, or have we gotten any feedback?
They're not present, nor did I receive any response from them. They did receive a letter because the property is located within 300 feet of the subject property. So either from the 300-foot notice or the notice that was placed in the local newspaper, I heard no public comment from, actually I heard no public comment from anyone.
Okay, thank you.
I would think that woods there would be somewhat of a sound deadening. You know, it's pretty thick woods.
Yeah.
You know, they cleared out in the middle of it. That's where they built their house. And I see why you put that building like you did, because you're gonna come off Shriner Street right into the shop. Like I said, my only issue really was the lighting. I like the plan, and I think just for its historic value, I've been around there 75 years, and so it's been a car lot right there that I can remember. I worked there 50 years ago when it was a Lark Buick Chevrolet, but the guys that bought that building now, they've got a full-fledged operation going there again. You know, they're fixing up vintage cars, so I would think that'd be a little bit of noise too. Where your present location's at, it used to be a gas station. I worked there in high school, but yeah, so it's and I don't know why that property took a long time to sell. And I think basically because there were no utilities there, no water or sewer, you know, and I think these people that live there, and I'm not saying that they would accept any kind of noise or anything, but they're gone a lot. I think they're both retired, aren't they, Dan? But anyhow, I'll talk in favor of that orientation the way you have. I think that's probably the best way to put that building.
You had indicated there was already some fencing back there. How far along that site does it run, and what kind of fencing is it? Is it like a chain link, or is it like a solid wood fence?
Right now, it's a chain link with the privacy
Okay.
run through it, and it's basically shielding what's back there from Hanover, South Hanover. It's white. Yeah, white, or is it white vinyl? I'm sorry, I'm thinking of our Middleville location. It's a white vinyl privacy fence.
But it doesn't run along the property line, right? It shields your parking lot from something you have stored behind the parking lot, behind that office
Correct,
building.
right now, and that wouldn't change a lot. We'd have to alter that a little bit, but it would, essentially, we would do something similar, where cars that needed to be repaired yet to get onto the lot would mostly be hidden from public view.
I've never seen a car repair facility that doesn't have cars all over the place.
Yeah.
So to me, to say you're not going to have them, that there'll be no proposed outdoor use is not accurate. So what would you do to screen those cars? Because looking at the aerial map, you have 16, 18 cars behind that fence, and your proposed parking wouldn't even cover the cars you currently have in that space. I mean, I don't know how many are there today, but that's what the aerial photo shows.
Aren't those cars for sale?
Yeah, I mean, one comment Matt made is they are in operation with 2 bays right across Shriner there, and they are going to be able, with this expansion, to have more space over there. And yeah, I don't know what the counts would be in terms of cars waiting to be repaired and versus not. The idea that there's 6 bays was kind of ambitious, thinking it's going to be a challenge to keep them all busy. But yeah, I mean, every intention would be made to screen. There is plenty of space back there. But screening those cars is something that can be managed. They're not going to be coming out in front of the public view. It is at its heart, again, a car sales operation with a repair component to it.
You mentioned 6, but you're showing 9 bays on the plan.
Yeah.
10, actually.
10.
Okay, I think it's supposed to be 9.
9.
Sorry,
There's 9 on one side and 1 on another.
Yes.
Is that something else?
Yeah, it'd be 9 bays, and then the one on the other side would be for a drive-through on the Dollar General side. So that would be 10 doors total, 9 bays.
Did your plan at all look at extending the sidewalk on Shriner, or?
we communicated that with Dan, understanding that
Okay.
it was part of the requirements. It is a narrow, very residential feeling road. The only sidewalk on Shriner is across the street
Right.
on the Broadmoor Motors thing, and that was, yeah, again, I apologize for not having the bay count correctly there, but those are the sort of things, if you do them, again, we're trying to stay on budget. If we need to do them as part of a broader plan, we certainly would, but that was one of those things kind of practically up for consideration. If it's required, we can do it. There is sidewalk along Hanover to connect to, just like they did at across the street. So we did not put it on there because we wouldn't do it if it's not required.
Other questions?
So back there, let's go back to the fencing again. Now, the door that's coming out of the back of the building, when you drive out, you said that's going to be straight through, right? But when you come out, are you going to turn and go towards the parking lot, or are you going to come and go back towards the back of the building? Because what I'm thinking, maybe if you extend that fencing across the back of the building to the property line on both sides, then you could screen all that stuff back there. But the problem is this door here, if you're going to come out and go this way, or if you're going to come out and go all the way around the building. You know, all I'm trying to say is, you know, you could extend that vinyl fencing and screen most of that stuff back there if that's a concern. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Back here?
in the pull-through would be up more toward the front of the building.
Yeah.
Yep, and typically those would be for vehicles that are finished. So,
But you won't be parking anything back here. This out here is going to be where your storage area is at, right?
correct, yep.
Yeah.
But actually, you don't show the pavement going, allowing you to come out that's, back door and go toward the front of the building.
Yep.
Yeah, that was, the reason that is, was the two rooms in the corner of that are the office. Those are the salespeople's offices. So we did conceive of kind of a landscaped area on that corner, probably coming around and tying into the front entrance. But again, I realize that is not detailed on this. We couldn't fully understand what the landscape screening requirements would be, but that part of the building would not just be grass. It would be built up with landscaping.
Other comments? So, Rebecca, how concerned are you that with the things you noted that are different than what your understanding was?
Well, the misunderstanding in the use doesn't bother me at all. If there's an element of an existing use there that wasn't clear on the plan, we just add it. Mostly I'm glad it's already existing and it doesn't trigger a new public hearing. What concerns me more is the fact that none of these things we've been talking about are reflected on the plan. And so my report almost has no has no relevance at this point. So more importantly, my findings as to the special land use criteria would make no sense, you know. So as the planner, I have that concern. I don't know if the Planning Commission does, but I'm a little concerned. I don't know how you can conclude on some of the things when you don't have a detailed proposal in front of you. I understand that their design is in progress, which is why some of the stuff, you know, they're still thinking some things through. I understand that, but it puts the board in a position of trying to make a decision on compliance, essentially.
How do the rest of you feel? I, for one, I like your business. I've been a customer. I like what you're trying to accomplish. I don't like the way it's been executed. I think, you know, from my perspective, we have an obligation to protect the residential area that's behind you. And I think that not keeping your building closer to a commercial building that's next to you, Dollar General or whichever, you know, whichever dollar store that happens to be, and presenting less of a potentially negative front to the house next to you. Granted, it's new. Granted, it was built knowing that there was a car operation there, but that's a car operation that's not nearly the scale of what you're talking about right now. I just wish that it would be a very easy decision if it had been slightly reoriented, to eliminate or minimize the impact to the south of you.
I don't have any concern with the layout. Sorry, this is
That's
going to end up
right.
not being helpful in the end, depending on what other people say. I mean, the building's fairly oriented towards the center of the lot. It makes sense to me the way that the layout is. The adjacent property owners didn't attend the public hearing or provide comment. They were aware of the surrounding zoning when they constructed the property. As long as the screening and all the requirements are in place, I don't have any problem with the layout the way that it's being proposed.
Yeah, and to address the comment about execution, I mean, of course, the question was asked. I mean, there's an old used car sale office on that site. And yeah, it's clear that I guess some things were taken for granted, and what are we actually doing here? Because it was a question, is special use actually required? What is the difference between a used car lot that fixes some more things? And yeah, we came in maybe with a different attitude towards what a special use is, understanding that we could take this feedback, designing at the most basic level, trying to be in compliance with the standards, and but not knowing 100% what they were. That the size and scale of this building and the use of it is what we wanted to come and explain with our application.
Well, I think they're going to have trouble moving forward with that if they don't get feedback on the
Right.
location. So if other people
I have no issues except for the lighting and the screening of the non-operational cars, the non-saleable merchandise. Is it something that we can do a staff approval once they turn in their lighting standards and vegetation standards, or do we need to have another meeting? Does anyone know?
Are you directing that toward me?
Anybody who knows it.
Anybody who has the authority.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Planning Commission can can delegate as much as they want to staff in a conditional. My only question is, so you're in a position, a vehicle repair element is a special land use. So you have to be able to conclude that there are no elements of the proposal that are going to have a negative impact or that cannot be mitigated. That impact can't be mitigated. I don't know as a board member how you would know. You don't even know where the storage or the display is going to be, how much of the area will be occupied by that. Reference has been made to fencing. I don't know where that is or what it consists of. All you're seeing is green. I have no idea how that equates to your various screening and landscaping requirements. So staff can certainly confirm a site plan, compliance, but they can't issue the special land use. And so I think the question for you is whether or not you feel like you can make that determination without the information.
I think screening and landscaping is a big part of this particular use that's being proposed. So I would like to see more of that on the plan before making a decision.
Is there a standard on screen? It did not pop up really on my radar in reviewing the B6 use.
So there are buffering requirements in the B6 district and then landscaping requirements in the landscaping article.
And I think the interpretation is that those are wooded lots where it says existing wooded lot. That screening simply did not come up as a concern in, a review of the ordinance with that present. A fence is something I think we'd consider, but if we could go back in time and do it, I don't think anything would say you really need to put a fence here because you have that wooded lot in between you and the residential lot. The landscaping, I did have a question for Dan because I wasn't 100% sure how that applied. And we did consider, indicating on that corner that, hey, we're going to do that. We're probably going to go through the process to have a monument sign in the green space right on the corner. But again, and I apologize for the sake of special land use, I wasn't necessarily thinking they had to be final on here because we weren't 100% sure of what we would put on there to meet the standard. So there will be a fully designed, engineered permit set that will obviously go in for review, and I think we thought we would take feedback from this into that process.
Scott, anything?
Pretty much what everybody's already covered. The landscaping, the screening is my big concern also.
Okay. Nicole?
No, the question that I had was about the existing fencing. I think, I agree with Sarah, I think the layout makes sense, but without knowing what the impacts of that lighting and screening are going to be. I know there's some existing lighting, and if the plan is just, however that's going to change or not change, I think that just needs to be spelled out a little bit. And then with you said the specs with the lamps so that we know what that brightness is, the angle, all of that.
Well, and where all of the outdoor activity is going to be occurring, and to what degree. I think you need to know that so that you need to know where.
Yeah, clearly identify where the storage areas are and the staging areas versus the sales car lot.
Yeah.
So to be clear, the proposed new paved lot is circulation for what will be getting repaired. The existing paved lot is the sales lot, has been the sales lot. Where that new paved lot is going to have cars that are waiting to be repaired is where that happens already. Whether they're doing them across the street or not. I wouldn't recall the history of when that white vinyl fence up, but as a practical matter, as a car lot, you screen them regardless of whether there's zoning requirements to do so. But that's where I guess I'm not 100% clear is, yeah, what would compel us to put a screen back there if, certainly on the back side, like where the dumpster is, if it's all wooded lots surrounding it. So the outdoor activity isn't changing.
Well, personally, you guys run a nice business out there that's clean and organized, and I don't see trash and derelict cars and stuff, but 10 years from now, who knows what the next person's doing with it. So if we just let it go through, I think what they're getting at, without it being on your plan that this is for sales and this is for storage, the next person can turn the whole thing into storage. And now we have a big problem that we're trying to deal with down the road with no real enforcement mechanism.
Bill?
You keep bringing up that there's the existing wooded lots there. Do you own the wooded lots?
Everything that's green on that plan is pretty heavily wooded. Yeah.
Except to the south.
Yeah, not to the south.
Right.
I'm thinking of the residential.
On the north side of it and on the west side, that's all wooded.
Yeah, and the more updated plan had the top topography on it.
There's an old railroad bed back in there, and I don't know who owns that.
Yeah, I think that's, to the west there of the property line.
Chelsea?
I would just circle back that I'm satisfied with the answer that the trade-off of having the doors on that side prevents the building from being closer to that residential lot. So I think I'm with everybody else on really just having some more delineation on the lighting and screening. But I like the building, and I think it'll be a great improvement to that lot.
Meredith?
I would just say that I think this is going to be cool. I would feel more comfortable if we were to approve a plan, if it was like the most updated and the most accurate to what is actually going to happen. If we had all the landscaping, all the lighting, I think a sign was mentioned. If just everything was in a plan that we knew what was going to happen, I feel more comfortable reviewing that than passing something that isn't completely clear as of now. But I think it's going to be cool. I like the idea.
Mr. Mayor?
Well, I've already said my biggest issue was the lighting, and if there's going to be cars on the west side of that building, I think they ought to have some kind of screening, kind of like what you got now. I like the layout. I totally understand why they put it that way, because of the access off Shriner Street. Probably a lot of this stuff isn't going to run. You're going to have to push in. It's easier to go straight than it is to go around the building. But and like I said, the parking lot, the used car sales has been there forever. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem going forward with it right now. Contingent on staff's approval. But we're still under public hearing, aren't we?
We are. Yep. So, any other questions for them before I open it up for public comment, and then we can come back to deliberation? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone that wants to speak in favor or against this request? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay. So noted. close the public hearing. All right, so it seems to me that most of you favor going ahead and granting approval subject to additional detailing on lighting, signage, and fencing, and incorporating some level of detail on the number of cars that will be allowed to be accommodated on the site.
And the landscaping.
And the landscaping, yes.
They asking for anything with a sign? I thought you said not this time.
And the sidewalk extension would be good too.
I will tell you with that synopsis that you just indicated, on both the building design standards and the screening. Now, at this point, the site plan is lacking the detail. If the detail comes back on both of those elements and it is not in conformance with the ordinance, obviously staff doesn't have the ability to accept it.
Correct.
Okay.
So-
Whereas you do.
Yes,
Okay.
so
So it
this
would
would
come
all
back to
be
you if that
subject
was-
to staff review, and if it does not meet the ordinance, then understanding is it will have to come back here.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay?
I'm gonna have to take a picture of your notes.
Okay, is that a motion?
It's a long list.
That's a long one.
That's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion down there. Chair should not make a motion, so.
Support.
All right, so we have a motion and support to grant conditional approval of the request with the understanding that full detail on lighting, signage, fencing, landscaping, and I can't read my own notes.
Oh, no!
Well,
Oh, the detail on the parking.
really anything that was lacking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be submitted to staff, and assuming that that's all in accordance with our ordinances, yeah, you're all set, otherwise it'll need to come back here. Dan?
Yeah, just one comment. Correct me if I'm wrong, signage is typically approved through the typical process.
Correct.
Where
The sign permit process.
Through the sign permit process,
Okay.
which is funneled through PCI, so.
Okay. Then we'll take that one out.
I have a question. We didn't really talk, or maybe I zoned out, about the building elevations. Is that a part of this review in this district?
Yes.
And what, if anything, still needs to be reviewed about the exterior?
So with respect to the building design standards, that's section 9535. So facade materials, you have acceptable materials. The elevations are lacking information. I don't know that it complies. You have this facade design standards. I've bolded that because those technically don't meet the ordinance, but I thought the board might find them to be an acceptable compromise, or, meeting the intent of it. The facade features has been met, it's not bolded. Customer entrance, same as above, where it doesn't technically meet it, but I thought the elements of it, the board likely would find that it met the intent, but it would require your action on that. The roof is fine.
So do we need to make a determination on that? Because that doesn't sound like something that staff can review and accept if some things aren't quite in line with the ordinance and we have to make that interpretation. Is that something we should do along with this motion?
Yeah, well, and in the B6 district, you don't allow you only allow limited parking in the front yard. So, and the front yard is anything between the road and the building. So, because I don't know where their vehicle display lot is, and they are adding a row of parking, I guess we'll have to wait and see the detailed plan on that.
Well, we can answer that because it is between the building and the road.
I know that. I know they've said that's where that display
Right.
is already occurring. My guess is it already exceeds 2 rows. I mean, I don't know the layout, but, or not only existing or proposed. I mean, I'm assuming they're gonna do more than what they're doing, but even if they're just doing what they're doing, I don't know what that is, and then they're adding a row, so it might be that parking has to go away. You do require a sidewalk along Shriner. I don't know that, I know the applicant indicated he didn't know if you would require that. I didn't hear you speak to that. So if you don't exclude that, that would be a part of the requirement. And those are all within your B6 design standards. As well as a walkway from the building entrance to the existing public sidewalk.
As far as the sidewalk goes, we have sidewalk on the north side of Shriner. We have no sidewalk anywhere on the south side of Shriner. It does not seem to me to make sense to require them to put sidewalk on the south side of Shriner because you've got a number of properties to the south of that do not have it. So it's a sidewalk to nowhere.
Unless they choose to
North
put
side
a
of the
sidewalk
street
in
goes
the
into a
future.
tree.
Right.
They say on the north side it goes into a tree.
I think it's
Northwest
required,
side, excuse
not
me.
not in the zoning ordinance, but I think it's a city general ordinance that requires it.
In the B6, it requires it.
Okay.
But you are right, it generally does not in the zoning ordinance, but it does in this
It
particular
does in that
district.
particular
yeah.
district. So it's required twice.
So I got a question on that on the parking lot where you're selling used cars right now, and I keep racking my brain, I can't remember. Are your cars all pulled up to Shriner Street? You have a grassy area between the curb and the parking lot. Is there any way for people to walk around the front of the vehicles? Are they parked back far enough, or? That'd be the only reason for a sidewalk there, so people could walk down the sidewalk and look at your vehicles, you know, and they're gonna be in your parking lot. Guy comes in there, he pulls in your parking lot, he walks out and wants to look at the cars, you're gonna walk around in front of them. Is there room there without a sidewalk?
Yeah, I mean, typically they'll keep room between the bumper and the grassy area.
Probably still look nice with a sidewalk there, don't you think?
It would look nice.
Yeah. I'm done.
Okay. So we have a motion and support to approve the request, subject to staff review of lighting, fencing, parking limitations, landscaping, and confirmation that the building design meets the general criteria of the ordinance.
So does that mean confirmation of the building materials, or, because I think we can make a determination about
Yeah.
what they've presented and that
Right.
that's acceptable
Yeah,
if we want.
I think, yeah, I mean, you've got issues with a number of things due to the nature of what the building is.
Sure.
But what we can't we don't know is what the materials are that are being proposed, and, yeah, I would say that the materials do have to comply with what the ordinance requires.
I think the elevations look good.
Yeah.
I would find it acceptable if we include that in the motion.
Okay?
Yeah, a question on that, if I could, is whether metal siding is or is not allowed by the ordinance. It wasn't quite 100% clear.
Permitted materials, and this would be just for the 2 facades that face the roads. Stucco, brick, stone, masonry block, glass, architectural precast panels, wood, or similar materials as approved by the Planning Commission. So you do not outright permit vinyl siding.
I think it was Were you asking about vinyl or
metal.
aluminum?
Steel.
Or metal.
So metal.
Yeah, neither one. So that you would have to approve. If that's what, I couldn't tell what they were proposing, so.
We have masonry and glass probably not meeting the total percentage requirement, and what went above was not defined, but would not be vinyl. Whether it was going to be like an architectural panel, which you see, I think, probably in other buildings in this district. But yeah, there was some question based on a more similar material.
Are we comfortable indicating to staff that use of metal siding as per?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at the Dollar General, that might have
Right.
steel siding next
Yeah.
door, so.
Yeah.
It's only half facing, sure. I
Right.
think it works in this particular layout
Okay.
just fine.
So, well, Dan, you understand? You're okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Fine.
Got sleep back there.
No, I'm not sleeping.
So we have a motion and support with those criteria.
I had one question, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
The sidewalk, is that, we do have the authority to exempt that tonight, or that's a city council issue? Do we know that?
You do have the authority.
Okay.
Yeah, you are the reviewing body.
Okay. Is
And-
there
and
consensus around that?
No, I think that they should put a sidewalk in.
My only thought was a precedent was set when the house was just built and not required on that street.
For a single and two-family residential, it's not required that they put in a sidewalk.
Really?
They're exempted from the general sidewalk ordinance.
Okay.
So as long as there's not going to be a sidewalk there, why are we putting in a sidewalk to
There
nowhere?
could be a sidewalk there in the future, and people who are walking from that road can join the sidewalk there when it does exist.
That's the reason we've always done it, require somebody's building to put the sidewalk in. Hopefully, the next person that builds puts the sidewalk in. Of course, I don't know how you'd force the people to the west of them to pull one in now.
Yeah, I mean,
Particularly when they're gonna have to build a bridge across the creek,
No, they don't own that far.
but somebody does.
I shouldn't be chuckling about it.
Yes. Okay. So, question for the group. Sidewalk, yes or no?
Right down the line.
Years ago, I had a site plan review, and the board told us to put in a sidewalk when other sidewalks connected to it. I have no idea how it was worded or said. Is that still something that's an option?
I don't know if we've done it here, but in some other communities, the developer has put funds in escrow for a future sidewalk should other sidewalks go to it within a certain number of years. I don't know that that's really the plan here, though.
I'm fine with no sidewalk over funds in escrow.
I'm fine with no sidewalk.
I think a sidewalk would be an improvement.
Mr. Mayor? Sidewalk, yes or no?
What about these other guys?
I'm working.
I get where Sarah's coming at. Years ago, I built a house on a dirt road, and I had put a blacktop driveway in. When that intersection was reoriented by the state, I think, did that. They were the ones that put the sidewalk in. They put the sidewalk in front of the existing, used to be the quick oil change place, and they ran it down Shriner Street. I think that made more sense there because at that time, the residential area was on the north side of the road. I hate to vote against my city manager, but I don't think we need to put a sidewalk there. I think if, and I kind of like Mr. Bolthouse's idea that if somebody puts a sidewalk in, we could say, you know what, If they put a sidewalk in next to you where the residents are at, you're forced to put it in now. I don't think, personally, I don't think it's contingent on our approval tonight. If they want to put a sidewalk in, great. I'm not gonna force you to. So, sorry, Sarah.
Not personal. It's just an opinion.
I usually agree with her on everything.
Meredith, you have a feeling?
I don't really think we need one, because if you look down the street, I mean, there's pretty heavy vegetation on the side that it would be on going down, and it's on residential property, which, I mean, I don't know how that works, right? But, I mean, I don't know if you really need it, because as of now, it wouldn't lead anywhere. It would lead into woods. So I just don't find it important at this moment. I think saving money and keeping it aside for future projects would be smart.
Put it in
As of
later.
now, I don't think it's important.
Chelsea?
I think we could forego it.
Bill?
Same, we can forego.
Yeah, it becomes a maintenance issue too if you build it in and it's just not connected to anything there. So rather than building it and then having it not be used or utilized and breaking apart, I would say for the time being not to. If there was an existing system or if there was, sidewalks already connected through there, I think it would be a different discussion, but it goes into, we could have another sidewalk into a tree.
Okay, so, no on the sidewalk
The future is
requirement.
it's where the sidewalk ends.
We'll have to
the
put up a sign.
Like
The
the
poem.
poem.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, any other discussion before I call the question? Do we understand what we're voting on? Please don't make me repeat it again.
I think we've hit everything on
Okay.
our list.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with your project. Yeah, please realize that what we're trying to do is just make sure that you've got the most attractive and acceptable facility out there as far as the community is concerned. Good luck with it. All right, new business. Item A, preliminary site plan review and PUD amendments for 420 East Mill Street. You gonna start this off, Dan?
Yeah, repeat that again. I was just thanking them for their time tonight,
Oh.
so.
All right, we're doing the preliminary site plan review and PUD amendment for
Yes.
Mill Street.
Yes, we are. So, as you recall, Planning Commission and City Council approved the PUD for 420 East Mills several months ago. Since that time of the approval, there's going to be an additional use for the property, and that's for a daycare. That use was not originally approved in the PUD approval, and per our PUD standards, an addition of use that was not originally approved is classified as a major change to the PUD and needs to be re-ran through the process. Second component of the PUD amendment, which constituted a major change, was the reorientation of the mixed use or the commercial building. Is being reorientated from, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, east to west to north and south, basically, and a slight size adjustment to that building to incorporate components of the daycare. And there was also a reorientation of one or two of the residential buildings to accommodate underground infrastructure that is required as part of the project itself. So those two different components, again, constitute a major change to the PUD. Our PUD standards are such that it has to be basically re-ran through the process. So tonight is the preliminary site plan review by the Planning Commission. Once you've reviewed those standards, and depending upon what you deliberate and discuss tonight, then it would go to final site plan review by the Planning Commission, subject to another public hearing. And then depending the outcome of that, it would be passed along to City Council for their public hearing, and a first and second reading of the ordinance. So with that, I'd entertain any questions. Rebecca did put staff report together, pretty much capsulizing those same issues, and there might be just a couple more cleanup items too for that. So any questions?
Any questions for me?
We had talked about, and this isn't really with the site plan, which I know is really what we're supposed to be talking about now, but with regard to the PUD amendment, the text amendment, we were talking about maybe some ways to make it a little bit flexible. I just don't want to limit it to childcare center and then another perfectly acceptable use goes in there, but it's not listed as a use in the PUD, and then we have to go through this process every time. That's just not very conducive to changing tenants and things like that. So I don't know if you've had a chance to discuss it at all, what potential approach would be suggested to make that a little easier for changing future tenants without having to modify the PUD?
Well, I think, so when it came before you, what you approved was its reference as the Berry County Food and Arts Center. Now, obviously that provides some flexibility because there probably are a lot of different things that can fall into that, where staff would just say, yeah, that seems fine. I think it was the fact that the daycare center or childcare center was so not that,
right,
that it didn't give you much. And I would say that would be true even if you had called it, you know, a retail commercial building, let's say. Well, that would, I think staff would be in the same position of having to say, well, that was not envisioned. Plus, it's a use that carries its own, you know, set of standards and things you have to consider. So I would say that you certainly, they certainly can call it something other than the Berry County Food and Arts Center if they think that would give them more latitude. And you guys could see if you feel comfortable with that, if it just says, you know, commercial mixed use building kind of thing. But I would say that might not cover everything.
Sure.
In the future, but it might cover more, it might get to what you're talking about.
Yeah, we maybe don't want it to cover everything because it is a very unique, specific plan, but I don't want to tie too much to specifics to the extent that it's maybe suffers some detriment in the future of finding new tenants if it's overly limited. So there's probably a happy place in there, some balance, but I like the layout. I think the child care center is a great addition. I think it makes sense for that area. I don't have any issues with the proposal.
Anyone else have any questions or comments?
I do. It looks like on the new plan, there's something that says 6 5x10 farm stalls. And I don't see that anywhere on what appears to be the old plan. Are we talking about taking that little tiny parking lot down there and turning it into farm stalls? Is that a permanent thing? I just don't understand what that is in reference to. And then there's a disappearing sidewalk there at the corner of Building A. That looks like it's going to be an issue. Those are the only two things I saw on the plan with questions. I like the little future pedestrian creek crossing.
Levi, that was earlier, in an earlier iteration of it, when we were gonna, inside the building, we were gonna create farm stalls, but there was never gonna be anything outside of the building.
Is it just an artifact of the drawing, maybe?
I think so.
think it's those
Not that I
rectangles that it's pointing to. There's the 6 rectangles on the outside of the building. That's where that line
Is
points
it,
to.
I can't quite read the plan, so I just don't know
Oh.
I
This is
wonder if
when
he's
we were
looking at the
talking
old
about
one,
potentially
because on
putting
this site
farm
plan, it
stalls
doesn't show
No.
those farm
outside,
stalls there at all.
so people could do the farm market, remember,
Farm market
see where
outside.
those little boxes are out there?
Right.
Okay, which is in the plan as approved.
This was the new plan.
Yeah, but I think what Bonnie's talking, were those in the original plan?
I thought they were.
I don't see them. I think this one is the original plan. But I don't know what all those symbols mean necessarily.
So it looks like from the date, the one that doesn't have the farm stalls down there is the newest version.
Yeah.
Yes, the
So
original
on-
that doesn't have the farm stalls, is that what you're saying?
The one that's dated 7/23/25 doesn't show the farm stalls, and it shows that the footprint on the expo, or the food and art center, to be a little bit bigger. Is that the 10,740 square foot?
I was gonna say, the plans show 2 different increased building sizes. One is 10,740 and one is 10,900. Do you know, I'm assuming one is accurate.
10,740 is accurate.
740, okay. Okay. I think it's in this one that they show it as 10,900.
Yep, and that's the one that shows the farm stalls on it. The renderings that are, I think, 2 pages down from that one have the other square footage on it.
And yeah, the farm stalls aren't in there.
So it's 740 is accurate, okay.
Yes. Okay. Other questions?
So, I don't know if this is the right question, right time to ask this question with that, Berry Community Food and Arts Center. Is there enough parking there, or is that why you're utilizing the parking lot across? Correct?
Would you like me to answer that question?
I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't hear your question.
The way this is set up, with their daycare and all that down there, they have parking kind of in front. But I would think the size of the building there's not enough parking there. So the intention is to have this parking over here across the creek?
That's how it was counted from a zoning standpoint.
Right. But didn't that require, when they did that, a bridge? And now they're saying possible future bridge? Is that bridge going to have to be put in for them to...
Says future.
I got it. That's a bridge right there. Does that have to be put in for them to be able to utilize the parking there for that size of that building? Building's 10,000 square feet.
Are you saying that initially it was shown, oh, they didn't even have, did they have one before? I'm not seeing that.
I
Not
think
on
when
this. They had on a previous iteration, but I don't think on the approved one.
Yeah.
On the one that's dated April 16, 24, there's no bridge.
Yeah, as the planning commission, you certainly could require it.
Well, I'm just asking, was that why, and I know they put that parking lot in there for all the overflow parking, but I didn't know, and originally I thought maybe I'm mistaken, I thought the building was gonna be closer to Mill Street, that's why they're gonna use that parking lot there. And I think originally that's what you guys kind of planned. The building was gonna be closer to Mill Street, you're gonna have a little bridge across to that parking lot, or utilize a sidewalk there. But now you've moved it all back there, and then you reoriented it again. You created more parking down there to the west of that building, that community building, but I'm just curious, is that something that they're gonna have to do to satisfy, having that parking across the creek, as far as the bridge?
The print that doesn't have the farm stalls on it, the one for 10,740, doesn't have the little bridge on it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see where the original plan did. So the change there, the fact that they've reoriented it, added a child care center, and increased the square footage by the amount that they did not alter the parking. And so I don't know that the parking requirements, I should say.
Yeah.
However, I do think that if you're looking at that and saying, you know, obviously that parking area is intended to support use of that building, I think it's a reasonable request by the Planning Commission to ask the applicant to demonstrate how that would be reasonably accessed.
Rebecca, I have answers to most of these questions. I don't know if this is an appropriate
It's
time
fine, yes.
for me to answer the
Yes.
question. You might like me to go to the podium? Or?
I think we're fine.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you better, so it's on the microphone.
Good evening, Greg Taylor with Copper Rock Construction and Development. It's nice seeing everyone tonight. Why don't I address some of the items that we were talking about? The original site plan approval did not include the bridge because, as the mayor pointed out, originally the building was going to be, the commercial building was going to be built on Mill Street. We collectively decided to move it closer to the river so that that building would have more visibility. I think what we may be seeing here is that various plan sets and various sheets within those plan sets include that walkway and bridge, and others do not. That's our intent and that's our plan to put that bridge and walkway in there because when we look at the collective parking, it's our understanding right now that there are 8 surplus parking spots based on the collective uses on the site. And what we've done is we've isolated the 13 parking spots surrounding the reoriented commercial building for the exclusive use of that building. There's also another area through the main entryway to the building from Mill Street, which is also exclusive to the use of that building. And then the lot up on the hill, which would be connected by both the sidewalk and that bridge, have a mixed use for overflow for the commercial building and for overflow for the apartments. So I'm confident, based on our engineer's review of this and architect's review of this, that we have the parking required for these uses, including the change of use for the daycare facility. What isn't shown on this particular slide is how that parking is allocated for the use of the Berry Community Foundation building. But I do have that drawing if you'd like to see it, Rebecca, which shows that orientation. But
I think you've answered the primary question.
Yeah,
that
to
we
make
had.
everyone
Yes.
clear, it's our
Thank
plan
you.
to put in that bridge and walkway.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, given that clarification, the issue is really modifying the language to incorporate the daycare center, which is a vitally needed service, not only for this project, but for the community. So, nice to see that inclusion being proposed here. Any other questions? Have a motion?
Can I just, from a procedural standpoint, because of our PUD ordinance, I do want to look at the applicant because time may be of the essence to get some of this work started. So, I'll defer to Bonnie or Greg, either one, because the next step would be for Planning Commission to conduct a public hearing and final site plan review. I'm not sure that waiting until the October 6th meeting meets timelines or standards. Is that a fair assessment? And again, I'm looking at you both because
I'm not in control of the building, so. I'll let
so
Greg answer that.
we'll stand here as partners together. So Because we've had some discussions
Yeah,
just recently.
thank you for bringing that up, Dan. Yes, time is of the essence in terms of this approval, because we've made modifications. It didn't come up in this evening's discussion, but we had to do a fair amount of changes to the building and site plan to accommodate consumers' energy, a gas line, power lines for their electrical, and things of that nature, which actually helped us orient, we think, the building in a more positive way for the daycare use at the end of the day. But in terms of the timeliness of the project, while the apartments are moving at a very brisk pace, one thing you may not recall, because of the poor soil conditions on this site and because of the contamination within the site, we have to do an aggregate pier installation in the foundations and a vapor mitigation system under all of the buildings now, because we have to have the commercial building reach the same residential standard because of the daycare use that the apartments would have where people live there. So that aggregate pier mobilization is a very critical component since we're running out of season, and because that's a very specialized foundation activity. So we'd like to expedite approval as quickly as possible so that we can do the installation of the foundation and vapor barriers now as part of the foundation for the commercial building. So we appreciate your consideration and any accommodation you could make.
So the request is that we schedule a public hearing in conjunction with a special meeting sooner than our next scheduled meeting.
So when would that be? Because it's too late to put a notice in the paper this week. So the sooner the notice is getting in the paper is next Thursday or Friday. I don't remember which day they publish.
Yeah, because the ordinance requires a 15-day notice period from the time it's in the newspaper, so
that puts us at September 26th. So it'll bump the meeting up a week.
yeah.
Have you guys ever conducted a preliminary and a final development plan review at the same time?
Yes.
I was going to say, unless, I don't think the way your ordinance is structured, it would prohibit that unless you guys have just historically taken the position that that's not how you're going to do it. And the ordinance also states that the public hearing is for the PUD and final development plan. You are scheduled for a public hearing tonight. And so typically your preliminary plan review has different content requirements. So you do preliminary, you approve it, they move forward, do the final, which has more detailed, and then that's why you have a two-step. In that they're doing modifications, and then your ordinance says, well, you got to go through the same process. But my point is that because they're modifications, the preliminary plan and the final plan are going to look the same, because they've put all of the detail in this plan for you because of the nature of the modifications.
So I'm confused. So we're doing, are we not, this is the preliminary site plan review, correct?
Well,
because that's what's on the agenda.
Yeah, technically it was, I think Dan structured this so that you would be doing your preliminary plan review. I'm just saying that there's nothing in your ordinance that would prevent you, in my opinion, unless you think differently, that would prevent you from saying it meets the content requirements of a final plan review, and our motion will be to amend the PUD and take action on the final development plan, unless you feel uncomfortable doing that.
Do we have to have a public hearing?
Didn't you schedule this as a public hearing?
No, this is not scheduled as a public hearing.
Then I'm sorry, I delayed you then.
That's the part I missed. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, makes sense now.
So I guess, yeah, and I understand time is of the essence, but between the earliest that we could schedule a special meeting and our next meeting is a week. Is the week important?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be important.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Okay, So the question is, can we accommodate a special meeting on,
The city council still has to approve it. They can't do that till October 13th, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't speed it up in the end.
It doesn't speed it up at all.
oh,
Because there's a 5th Monday in September. So council because council will meet the 22nd. So there's not any way to have final approval before October 13th, even if we move our meeting up. Unless city council also does a special meeting, which is at their convenience. I couldn't comment on whether they'd be willing to do that or not.
So, we have a meeting next Monday, but we have to post it for 15 days. So when would that 15 days be up? If you put it in the paper this week?
We can't put it in the paper this week, the deadline's already passed.
Okay.
Because
right.
we had to shift our meeting
That's
for
right,
Labor Day.
that's right, we had a holiday.
So the soonest is next week. And then 15 days after that is Friday the 26th.
And the meeting the following Monday.
No.
October 6th.
October 13th is the next council meeting.
I,
The
for one,
planning
would be-
commission meeting's October 6th.
I'd be willing to come to a special meeting on the hope that the city council would also do the same. I mean, they can obviously say they don't want to, but
I don't know if anybody say they don't want to, I just, I think the problem here is, the 15 days, and
well, if the 15 days is up on Friday, we held our meeting on Friday, and you held a special meeting on Monday. That would get the meeting on
Monday the 29th.
Monday, the 29th of this month.
me, I don't have any problem with it.
I'll be out of state, so I won't be here.
Okay. Levi's available. Scott, would you be available?
Over here.
Sarah, would you be available?
September 29th.
Yeah. Well, Mayor Exchange is in Lowell that day, but we should be back well in advance. So yes.
That's the day of our council meeting, though, isn't it? You
Council,
said?
no. Well, the next. That's the 20th.
I know we have 2 days in there.
We have 2 days in there. No, the next time's our planning commission meeting. On the 6th is where our regular scheduled planning commission meeting would be.
So, I'm good. Nicole?
I'm available, it looks like.
Friday, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good Friday.
Okay. I know you're not, Chelsea.
Friday of which day?
26th.
Oh. No, sorry.
Okay. So, Dave, if you're willing to give it a shot.
Depends on where, let's see, Friday? You know what happens on Friday?
What happens on
My
Friday?
grandson is a quarterback of the football team. I probably won't be here.
Okay, that's all right. We'll still have a quorum, and
Yeah.
I assume we have
Probably
your,
won't be here for
we'll
that.
have your moral support.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a motion to approve
That's where I'll be.
the request for the modification and to publish the notice of a public meeting for Friday, September 26th. Okay?
At what time?
Yeah, was there consideration for moving the time up,
Being that it's Friday.
being that it's Friday, to 5 p.m.?
Who would like to do it earlier?
that sounds even better.
Yeah.
10 o'clock.
Sure.
We
10 o'clock.
we get, again, it's at the purview of the planning commission. Just as long as we notice it
Right.
for the appropriate time, whether that be 4 o'clock, 5, again, it's your
We can get Dave
convenience.
to the football game.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll also get my wife to the football game, which,
So if you select a time, staff will notice it properly.
1 o'clock,
I can't do 1.
okay?
Anytime after 2.
Anytime after 2. 2 o'clock,
Anytime after 3.
anytime after
They'll let
3.
y'all go early.
Actually, for that hour maybe.
But if the mayor calls and asks, though,
How about 3 o'clock?
3.
3 is good.
Okay, so, and we'll schedule a special meeting for Friday, the 26th at 3 o'clock.
Okay, the paper does get published Thursday, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
'cause this would all be in vain if it was Friday and I was wrong
No,
about that. And
that-
that wasn't 15 days, so before...
Didn't they
before we
try
set
to
this
do it
in
one
stone.
time where you could do electronic posting? That kind of fell by the law.
Oh, yeah, that was not changed in the open meetings
Okay,
Act.
don't get it, let's not confuse the issue here. So, we have a first motion and support to approve the request for the modification, and secondly, to set a public hearing for Friday, the 26th at 3 p.m. We have motion and support for that, I believe. Any further
I
discussion?
didn't write down motion or support. Who did that?
Levi
Made the motion.
and,
I support.
Great.
yes, okay. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right, wonderful.
On behalf of the applicant, I'd want to pass my thank you on to the commission for your flexibility and understanding for this very important matter.
What he said.
What he said, yes. Thank
Ditto,
you.
if that's permissible to go into the public record.
Of course it is.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Criticism goes in all the time, so it's
Word.
all right. We have an unofficial site plan review for Northridge Estate condominiums at 1700 North Jefferson Street. All right, no public displays of affection.
So, yes, Planning Commission members may recall Scott Chandler. He's here to represent the Northridge Estate condominium project. You'll remember Scott from the Woodlawn Meadows PUD that was passed earlier this year. I'm losing track. For the property just to the east of the subject property. The subject property was previously under the control of Georgetown Construction at the end of Briar Hill and Calgary, I believe. Scott Chandler and his group, I believe, have the property now under agreement, under contract. Scott is here tonight to do an to present an unofficial site plan review to the Planning Commission. Again, the unofficial review is allowed per our ordinance. Planning Commission cannot make any decisions tonight. They can just ask questions and kind of give a temperature take of the site plan that Scott will present. So, any questions?
I just can't find that particular picture in the packet.
That's an updated picture that Scott sent me, I believe, late Friday after the packet went out. So.
Okay, so that's why I can't find it.
Yes.
There.
It's the same other than in the original, the cul-de-sac was a private road, and then we just turned it all into public roads.
Okay.
I think the layout should all be the same.
So there to the east, where there's that other cul-de-sac that's out, I'm guessing that's outside the development. Is that Woodlawn Meadows?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was curious why that little bit was private, so it makes sense that that would all be public.
Why, I didn't, I was listening to what you said. Why is this gonna be private?
It's not, it's now going to be public.
Okay, because I couldn't see that either.
Yeah.
We even talked about on the other
Yeah.
Woodland Meadows,
Yeah. No, just the cul-de-sac was maybe,
If you would, because we're broadcasting, I need you at the podium to use the microphone. And thank you for your patience
yeah, no
tonight.
worries. Appreciate your time. I'm gonna just summarize maybe bullet points.
Yep.
unless you have questions already. Yeah, just kind of, I actually originally looked at this property before Woodlawn Meadows, and couldn't make sense of it to develop it. And so we ended up switching to Woodlawn, and because of the PUD, it made sense because we were able to get like a narrower road and better density, like smaller lots. So this one is, I think the current zoning requires 85-foot lots, I think, Dan, or right around there, minimum. And then public road, your public road specs are, I think, 34-foot wide. So it just financially didn't make sense. I know you guys don't totally care about that, but like to develop it and make it work to develop, the road costs were just too expensive compared to what the lots were worth. So anyway, so kind of revisiting this one, a way to, you know, and talking to Dan a little bit about the road specs over the past year or so, and then just kind of an idea I had to get the density up, but understanding that it's next to bigger lots and maybe some nicer homes. The idea was to kind of get that density up, but do like your traditional like ranch style condos. So it's a way to kind of, in my mind at least, to get the density up, but it's not like putting a bunch of small lots next to these bigger lots. And kind of, you're hitting a different demographic with it. Like, you know, younger people are moving into condos these days, but typically it's more of your 50, 55 and older. So kind of hit that market, which to me is a good thing. I think you have a lot of apartments coming, obviously, and some single family, more like affordable type of stuff, but you want to provide a product for your older people too, to keep them in town when they get older and retire or whatever. So anyways, this was just an idea, a way to get that, to make it make sense. So I think, so it's kind of like you know, in condos too, you don't typically have kids and bigger families or anything like that, so it's kind of quieter. That was kind of another reason I thought it was a good buffer next to these single family homes, these bigger lot homes. So it's kind of an idea I thought I'd run past you guys and see if it was worth pursuing further. We do have the property under contract, but it's got contingencies of having it make sense.
So tell us a little bit about what the units will be.
So like a ranch style condo with 2 or 3 bedrooms, so not like townhouse or anything like that. It's like more like targeting there's a condo project just south of that pond there, kind of similar to that. So probably, you know, 1,200 probably to 1,500 square foot on the main level, and depending on the topography, if they have what type of basement they have, but or even some of them just on slabs nowadays is becoming more and more popular. So.
This says need to change to A1 zoning. Does A1 allow 3 family at this time?
I think it does.
Yeah, I had my engineer do this. He can't be here tonight, but I believe he read through the zoning and came up with that.
I like the variation in the units. I think it provides a useful housing type that a lot of people can live in for, I mean, their whole life if they wanted to, because it's ranch, because of the size. I think it's a good fit for the area.
Would certainly seem to be. Is your topography such that you can do a walkout on any of these?
Yeah. Actually, some of this road was actually graded way back, kind of before the crash, and then it's just been on hold ever since. And you know, Georgetown Construction is a development company. They did the first 3 phases. But they've just kind of been sitting on it ever since. So, but if you look at, the topo or aerials, you can kind of see that a lot of that grading for that road is already in. So it looks like all daylight walkout. And they're all designed for ranch, so it's not a mixture or anything like that. There may be some where you get like a room above the garage possibly, but no townhouses or anything like that.
Comments?
I've watched the sale on the houses you're talking about, the duplexes and condos on North Street.
Yeah.
I watched those sales over the last 5-6 years, and one comes up, it's gone right away. You know, and I think this would be a great addition.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. You said you thought it was when the everything kind of died off that they quit building up there. I don't know why Georgetown never finished that last phase. And that's been a long time ago.
The problem, because of your road specs, they have. I think it's 34 foot wide. 36 foot wide, and then you have to have all concrete curb and gutter all around. And so when things were cruising before the crash, that's good because a lot prices kept climbing. But now, like cost to put road in the ground, like we just bid Woodlawn Meadows about $1,100 a foot for water to develop it. So if you got an 85 foot lot, and we're approved for 28 foot wide, so it'd be even more than that. So until lot prices get up here, which they will, it doesn't work. But it takes somebody to take a chance and kind of drive those, get it in and drive those prices up, and those lot prices will become the new normal. But like you said, they're developers, and I'm friends with Todd Ponstein that owns it.
Yeah, I remember him.
It doesn't make sense. Even if sometimes the land can be free and it doesn't make sense.
Well, they developed that subdivision, but they didn't do any building up there, did they?
No, they're not builders.
Right, they were all
Yeah.
If you bought the lot, you hired your own builder.
Yeah.
The way that was.
Yep. Yep, kind of older.
But you're not going to do that. You guys are going to do the building.
We're not builders either. Nope. So with condos, it's got to be one builder though.
Right.
So there's uniformity to it. So yeah.
I think it looks great.
Any other comments?
So the other thing is the road is public road and I think we have 28 foot wide. So that would be a change from your current spec requirement. So I think maybe, in talking to Dan, there's been some dialogue possibly of reducing that anyways. So that's kind of what we have, that would be part of, that's what this is showing at least.
Not everybody's aware of that, but in the subcommittee, in terms of looking at changes that we can make to make development more affordable, the road width is one of the things we're looking at. So
I missed that meeting.
I wasn't going to point that out. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Just to kind of get a pulse from, do we go forward, or is it a hard no, or maybe, or I know you can't obviously commit to anything.
We can't make a decision, but I think you've heard a number of very supportive comments.
Yep.
I have not heard a single negative one, so I would hope you would take that as a sign that it merits additional work on your part.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much, and again, thank you for your patience tonight.
No problem.
I think the last time you guys were here, it was the engineer was here, or was it you?
Engineer was,
yeah. Last time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I usually let them do the talking.
There you go. Hey, you did all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all. Dan, you've got 4 administrative site plan approvals.
Yes, unless there's any particular question, they were already approved and some of them were underway.
Okay, any questions for Dan on any of those?
I had more of a comment, less of a question.
Okay.
The one with the water tower, Dan, I lived right next to that water tower for 22 years, and every time a contractor came in and adjusted the lighting, they shined it in my house. Can you guys, and I know the person who currently lives there has reported it to you guys a few times, and I asked him today, he said that it's been good for the last year, and I'd hate to see a contractor go in there again and shine those lights in his house. So if you guys can track that and just make sure his house stays dark and the water tower stays lit up.
I don't believe there's anything as part of the administrative approval that pertains to any lighting.
So it just said adjust site lighting for T-Mobile equipment on your approval.
It would, again, I'll bring that up to the contractor, but that was not part of our discussions.
Okay, any other comments?
I appreciate that comment.
All right, we'll move on to old business, JPA, JPC update.
The
Briefly.
JPA met and talked about the M37 committee. And there were just some various updates, nothing really of substance that I recall.
Some discussion on Myers. That work continues and is in the hands of the township attorney and the city attorney, and they're continuing to discuss getting the 425 agreement in place. There are also upcoming discussions with Meyer on some preliminary site plan issues, so we'll have a little better idea. That will, all of that will be handled through the Joint Planning Commission, which is a 6-member group, 3 from Rutland and 3 from the city. So it is still alive and moving forward. Work task list, Dan?
No change since the May 5th meeting.
Okay. Any questions for Dan on the work task list? Tracking report?
Tracking report, the only change would be the Harry Dennison on the museum. I still have not received the updated site plan from Mr. Dennison that the Planning Commission requested at the May 5th meeting.
Planner quit, didn't he?
His contractor, they had a parting of ways, so I'm not sure where Mr. Dennison is right now with that project. So.
Okay. Questions for Dan? All right. The next 2 items are both updates for you. First one being the 3 to 4 family overlay district draft text. This is something that the Housing Committee, subcommittee, has been dealing with for some time, and actually we presented this to you back in March, and did not at that point had favorable comment on it, and we were going to proceed to set a public hearing so that we could move it forward. And because of the press of other business, I can't even blame it on COVID any longer, but because of the press of other business, that never happened. So we'd like to get that back under consideration. So we wanted to give you another draft of it. This is exactly what you saw back in March. If you review this and have any significant issues, please let Dan know. Otherwise, what we'd like to do is go ahead and schedule the public hearing for our next meeting, and along with the public hearing, that will give us a final potentially a final opportunity to discuss it before moving it forward. So
So would that be September 26th?
No.
Or would that be October 6th?
we've got to make sure that we get the mayor to the football game. So
Okay.
we're going
Worry
to keep
about
that meeting. I'm making a commitment to you that we will keep that meeting short and sweet.
I'm putting that in the minute.
Please don't. So, do we have a motion to put the 3 to 4 family dwelling overlay district proposal, schedule a public hearing for that at our normal October meeting?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right, and then final item actually speaks to what we were just talking about with the road. Rebecca briefed us on the history of the Land Division Act at a state level, and we looked at the requirements of that versus our own site condo regulations, and looked at ways that it might behoove us to modify those to bring them into conformity, but we really thought that because of the complexity of the land division ordinance that we might want to schedule a brief workshop prior to our October meeting to let Rebecca give us a full brief on that. Now, we decided we were going to ask you to do that before we saw the need to schedule a special meeting the week prior to that, but would you be willing to come in early at our October meeting so that Rebecca can provide us with some education?
Sure.
What good sports.
I'm still waiting to hear.
He's seeing us all
Good with me.
nodding.
You're in?
I think we're in the
You're in?
We should be back. Would that be at 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Everybody down here
Yep.
Yep.
in?
Yep.
Okay, good. So we will do that. Thank you. Open public discussion. We ran them all off. Staff comments.
Nothing further.
Okay. Commissioner comments. Anybody? Scott?
YMCA has the ribbon cutting for their child care facility on September 17th at 11.
Okay.
Nothing.
Excellent. Bill?
No.
Chelsea?
All set.
All right. Mr. Mayor?
I'm fine. I think I talked enough tonight.
It was a good meeting.
Yeah.
Good discussion.
Yeah. I had a lot more questions, but I didn't think they really pertained to anything, so I didn't ask them.
Well, you know, I think we once again saw the challenge of trying to be responsible and responsive to people that are trying to do projects in town, but the challenge of not having all the information that we might like to have, and so.
Well, I think one of the projects, I think they could have done their homework before they got kind of behind the 8 ball. You know, I won't name certain projects. I just think that they just kind of assume things, and I'm glad everything's going forward. Everything we did tonight, I think, was spot on, and looking forward. I'd like to watch improvements all over town.
Yep. But it could have been easier.
Yeah.
But, you've got to try to be responsive at the same time. Fortunately, in this case, we were able to work around it. Hopefully that's true in most. All right, any other business? We have a motion to adjourn.
Vote.
Support it.
Work with me here, folks. Moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
You got out of band?
We'll see if I know what any of this means.